Good, good, good. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is everybody all set? Carlos, how are you, sir? Buenas tardes. Thank you all. The testing, as I said. Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us here today. I'm really pleased to be joined by Councilmember Montgomery, Donna Deberry, who is president of the Central San Diego Black Chamber of Commerce, Jason Paguio, who is president of the Asian Business Association of San Diego, Iris Garcia, who is the San Diego Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, and of course, Stan Gentry, owner of Gentry's Beauty and Barber Headquarters. You see just right here. Stan, thank you for hosting us today. And thank all of you for being here today. There's no doubt that the global pandemic has changed the way all of our small businesses is all about is how do we help continue to give that lifeline, the help and the support, not only with direct dollars, but the outreach, which you're going to hear about in just a second, so we make sure that all our businesses are getting the help and the support that they need, that they can stay open safely. And we want to make sure that every business has equal access to these relief funds. And that's why we have required with ours, I said that the funds we're using are going to go to low to moderate income census tracts, opportunity zones, and San Diego's Promise Zone. With today's proposal, if approved by the City Council, we will allocate $700,000 to support business owners in our historically underserved neighborhoods through direct grants. That's extra cash in business owners' hands for things like rent, payroll, and personal protective equipment. It would also include outreach to help owners comply with all the regulations and connect them with other available relief sources that are available at the state or at the federal level. Simple message is clear. These businesses need help, and they need it now. So I'm encouraging all of my city council members, all of our council members to support this. It's a common sense proposal. It is clear that there is a great need for business owners, particularly in areas of our Promise Zone and Opportunity Zones. So today we're asking the City Council to allocate this, but there's one more thing that I'd also like to announce, that we're also asking the San Diego County Board of Supervisors to match the city's contributions to these efforts. If we work together, we can double our efforts and make an even greater impact. And so I'm optimistic that our county board will help match the effort that we are doing, and we will work in partnership together. Now I'd like to turn it over to the council member who represents this great district, Councilmember Montgomery, who since the very beginning of this pandemic understood the importance of small businesses, getting help, getting support, and getting relief. And so, Councilmember, thank you for your effort, thank you for your leadership, and your help to get this across the finish line coming up with the City Council. Councilmember Montgomery.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Faulconer, for that introduction, and good afternoon. Welcome to my community. I grew up in the 4th Council District with my parents being small business owners, just like Mr. Gentry and his family, which he will tell you about a little bit later. When we talk about small businesses being the backbone of the local economy, I speak from firsthand experience. This pandemic has widened the gaps of inequity in many areas that have plagued our city, including our unparalleled disinvestment in communities of color. For as long as I can remember, we have wanted to activate this Imperial Avenue corridor with thriving small businesses and development of our Valencia Business Park right down the street. As elected officials, we must do everything within our power to alleviate the burdens on small businesses to prevent doors from shuttering permanently. The mayor mentioned the disproportionate impact the pandemic has had on Black and brown people in terms of the rate of unemployment and COVID-19 cases. And I just want to go into that a little bit, because SANDAG did present to us some information that said that 44% of Black people in this region live in areas that are experiencing both high amounts of COVID-19 positive cases and high amounts of unemployment. The Latino population, 42% of the Latino population in this region is experiencing and live in areas that are reporting the highest amount of COVID-19 cases and the highest amount of unemployment. Many of those zip codes are right here in District 4. So, and as the mayor mentioned, our API community is also experiencing at rates that are twice as high as their white counterparts. So it's obvious that we have a lot of work to do, and this is definitely a step in the right direction. People hurting and those closest to the pain are those closest to finding equitable solutions. We must listen to the people. From day one, I promised to amplify the community's voice at City Hall. This $700,000 is an answer to the pain of the people. It is a start, and we know that it is not enough, but we have to take one step at a time. As policymakers, we have the responsibility to design and implement effective measures that support small businesses in these extremely challenging times. Many minority-owned small businesses face structural challenges that underscore the need for an equitable distribution of funding. That's why I stand here today very proud of the work that my office has done in partnership with the Strategic Alliance of Ethnic Chambers. We really just have not had a seat at the table, and we know now that that is changing. We have faced tremendous disparity over the years. The pandemic has only exacerbated this disparity for all of us to see and to confront. Because of this, we must genuinely and truthfully address this crisis of resources in our communities of concern and work to maintain the dignity and the respect of all residents. I do want to thank the presidents of the Ethnic Chambers, Donna Deberry, Jason Paguio, and Iris Garcia, for joining your voices in this grassroots movement as we all work to flatten the curve on inequity. And I also would like to join the mayor in asking the county to match these funds if it is passed by City Council, I believe next week. So I would also like to make that call. And thank you, Mr. Gentry, for hosting us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Before I turn it over to some of our business leaders, I'd like to just share just a little bit about working with this group and with this alliance. When we assembled the Recover Advisory Group, we heard from more than 30 local organizations, including the Central Black Chamber of Commerce, the Asian Business Association of San Diego, and the San Diego Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And one of the many items that this group shared, that this alliance shared, was one of the most pressing was the health and the economic disparity in our communities that Councilmember Montgomery so eloquently addressed. Since then, they have formed this group, the Strategic Alliance of Ethnic Chambers, aimed at tackling just that. And one of the ways that they are doing that is through targeted outreach, helping more businesses navigate the access and the services and the funding that is available to them. So I want to thank each and every one of you for your leadership. This group is very strong, and they have moved very quick. They are a force to be reckoned with in San Diego. And now I'd like to invite the president of the San Diego Central Black Chamber of Commerce, Donna Deberry. Donna, thank you for your advocacy. Thank you for your energy. And as anybody who has had the pleasure to meet Donna and work with her knows that it's impossible to say no because of the great work and the hard work that she's doing. Donna, please come on up.
So hello. We know that this pandemic, We know that this pandemic has disproportionately hurt historically underserved communities facing higher rates of infection and unemployment. Black businesses can't keep their doors open. I can't tell you the overwhelming number of calls and emails that I get from black businesses pleading for funds as a survival lifeline. And I want to share with you one story. A black business owner called me 2 days ago crying, and he said, "Donna, if I cannot keep my business open, it means that I can't feed my family. It means that I can't pay my rent. I don't know what to do or how I'm even going to survive. I have 10 days left of money in my account for my business. I am desperate and I need help now. These are the desperate pleas and cries that I get every single day from our Black community. So these businesses are in need of our attention, resources, and services as we work our way through COVID-19 and the recovery right now. And the Strategic Alliance of Ethnic Chambers will continue to work together to provide resources to the hardest hit communities and businesses. Today's proposed funding will not only directly help business owners that have been institutionally disadvantaged, many who've been denied PPP, but it will also bridge the barriers to economic relief through education and outreach. If passed, the council, this proposal, would help us achieve inclusive economic recovery, helping businesses like Gentry stay alive and, more importantly, thrive with generational wealth. So I'd like to call on all of our city council members to support this proposal and stand with the business owners in our historically underserved community. This is a time that we're asking our council members, regardless of their political affiliation and various segments of the community that they represent, to show a united front in ensuring that our economic recovery is equitable, and a unanimous vote to support this proposal. We need to stop this colorblind policy approach to how this pandemic has impacted our city. Instead, we need to be color bold and have an intentional focus on the disadvantaged and underserved communities of color. COVID-19, this pandemic has shown that we have a moral imperative to distribute resources based on equity. So Councilmember Montgomery, thank you for your support, acknowledgement, and prioritizing the opportunity to bring funding to communities with the greatest need. Mayor Faulconer, I've said this once and I'll say it again. Thank you so much for your inclusive leadership. This is an important step in bringing resources to underfunded businesses to help ensure that they do not get left behind again. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Donna. Next, I would like to invite up President of the Asian Business Association, Jason Paguio, to say a few words. Jason, thank you for your leadership, my friend, and all the great work that you are doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jason Paguio, President and CEO of the Asian Business Association of San Diego. San Diego is home to more than 30,000 Asian and Pacific Islander-owned businesses. And our role as part of the Small Business Development Center network is to help these businesses every single day with no-cost technical assistance, business advising, and counseling. And I can tell you that a lot of our businesses were hit as early as January and February of this year as news had come across the Pacific of the virus hitting our community. And compound that with shelter-in-place orders and a mandate for all the businesses to close. We were met with a really big challenge. And within a span of a couple days, we had hundreds of businesses calling the Asian Business Association seeking COVID-19 disaster relief capital and support. Compound that with the additional issues of cultural and language barriers, and in a system that rewards first come, first serve, our community was left behind for so many different opportunities in terms of funding. We believe that this proposal before you, and we're thankful for the mayor and your leadership and Councilmember Montgomery, and hopefully with the passage of this through the City Council, that they look at this, as Donna had mentioned, with an inclusive lens and an equity framework to ensure that our underfunded communities are not left behind, that we fast-track policies to help historically underserved communities, and that we always have those that are most vulnerable at the front of the minds of all of our policymakers. So we appreciate this opportunity. The Strategic Alliance is a group that is I'm incredibly grateful to work with, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here, and thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And next up, of course, the third part of the alliance here. What a great three groups of organizations that are working so very closely together. I'd like to invite up the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Iris Garcia. And Iris, thank you for your determination and all of your help and support.
Hello, everyone. It's clear that this pandemic has really affected our community, especially the Hispanic community. As the Strategic Alliance is formed in order to help out our minority communities as much as possible, and I'm glad to be a part of it. The Strategic Alliance, alongside with the Vital San Diego outfits in its Recovery Advisory Group and city officials, are working jointly to make sure most of the communities that need it the most are getting the help that they need. We're grateful to everybody involved, and until COVID-19 crisis is over, we will continue to extend our hands to all those that need our help. Please tell any small business that you frequent and share the information that is out there that can help these communities. These funds are out there to help, and we need to make sure that the message gets across. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Iris. Of course, next up, we have our special guest and our host today. What we are seeing here is a great example of the resiliency of San Diego's small businesses, particularly our family-owned businesses. Since 1962, the Gentry family has been cutting hair right here on Imperial Avenue. Today, they're adapting. You can see this is a great creative example. It's not easy, but it's about persevering. And so we are so delighted to be here today to showcase this. The funding made available in today's proposal that we are talking about is going to help businesses like Gentry's stay open. It's not just for now, but for the foreseeable future. That's what this, as I said, is all about. And so Stan Gentry, thank you for hosting us, sir. Thank you for your perseverance. Thank you for everything you're doing for our city and for our neighborhoods. Stan Gentry.
Thank you very much, Mayor Faulconer, for that introduction. But I'd like to thank you and all the participants here, and glad to be invited to this press conference. Like I said, we've been here since 1962. My dad built this from the ground up. For the most part, Gentry's Beauty and Barber headquarters has been a family-ran business. We've been here for quite some time. We know this area, and this area is home for us and home for a lot of other people. We believe that beauty shops and barbershops are the cornerstone of the community. There are places where a place where people can come and they can conversate. This is the first information superhighway. This was here before newspapers, before radio, television, internet. This is where people gathered at so that they could exchange information and learn. This is where children grew up and learned how to be men, as well as ladies could learn how to be women. This is a place where people come and they share their experiences, their education, their knowledge, everything. And I want to ask you, what other place can you go and get all that besides barbershops, beauty shops, and churches? That's it. This is where people got everything has came from right here. I appreciate Monica Montgomery. She recognizes that. She puts businesses first. And that's something that's rarely done. We hear about it, people talk about it, but it rarely gets done. I'd like to recognize Mayor Faulconer and the people downtown and the council members that they're finally reaching out to us and showing us that there are other ways. They're actually starting to bring us to the forefront and letting us know that we can make it too. And that's all the people downtown. I look forward to working with Miss Donna Deberry from the Black Chamber. What assistance is available to us during this challenging time. And I look forward to working with any other group, any other groups that are here today. and how we can come together and make it better for everybody. Like I say, this is our home. People that come here are family. They've been coming here 20, 30, 40, 50 years. These people are family. And without family, we don't have any. There is no gentries without the people out here. I'd like to thank all of you for coming out, and y'all have a great day.
Thank you, Stan. Very well said. Thank you. I'm happy to open up for any questions for any of us or any questions one-on-one. Anybody else? Yeah, sir. Good to see you, my man.
So the big question is how are you going to allocate these funds specifically? How many businesses are you sort of targeting in these promise zones? And how fast do you think that this can matriculate to the businesses that?
Yeah, it's gonna be before the City Council next week. And so we're looking for fast and immediate action. And again, the strength of the Alliance and the folks that you see behind me ensures that these funds are gonna get to the businesses that need it the most. And what better groups and organizations to do that than the ones that have come together. And so we see this as the best targeted approach, the most efficient approach, and the dollars are gonna get to the businesses that need it to keep themselves open.
So if I'm a business in this area, or should I be reaching out to the different chambers, and is that the best way?
It will, and the Strategic Alliance will be a big part of that, and we'll have all of the, when this comes before the council next week, again, to not only have the dollars, I would be remiss if I didn't once again say, as the council member reinforced, we're asking our friends at the County of the San Diego to match this as well. I think collectively when we do that, as we've done in other areas, it shows the strength of all levels of government working together to help all of our communities. Carlos.
Can you clarify the matches of the county? Have you talked to them already? You just proposing that?
We have. We're in those conversations. I'll give you a good example. When the city and the county came together a couple of months ago, obviously still during the COVID pandemic, to match funds for childcare. Those were dollars well spent. I think this is a great opportunity for us, once again, to match dollars to help these small businesses, to keep them going, to help them thrive, and it will really represent the best, as I think, of all levels of government, and so I'm optimistic that that'll happen.
Then the matches for 7.
That's what we're asking, yes.
Now, on the filtering, the 3 Chamber of Commerce has the most representative for the communities that really need it the most. In the past, so far the experience is a lot of businesses have received money that they didn't need. Some even giving back. This situation with the Chamber of Commerce is going to be vital for the proper businesses that really need it to really receive it.
It is, Carlos, and again, the strength is the representatives that you see standing behind us. These organizations are the ones that are working every single day. These organizations are the ones on the front line that know the businesses that need help and support. Perhaps I could turn it over to any one of you. I'll just say a few words, or Jason, to give an example. Jason.
Sure, Carlos, to your point, we've seen the businesses that first applied for a lot of this funding were ones that either had better banking relationships or didn't have as many cultural or language barriers. They were the first ones in. We saw with PPP the disproportionate amount of funding associated that way, and for us as technical assistance providers in many of these businesses, we see everything with these businesses, and we walk them through that entire process. But to your point, that's where being on the ground in the community and having that relationship and having culturally competent business advisors who know the community in that way puts us in a much stronger position of being able to identify, hey, these folks need this more than these other folks who might already be in a position of strength financially, or maybe don't have as many savings, or are immigrants. So I think that's a really strong case for us in terms of the depth we have in the community and based organizations as well. What you see here is not just 3, there's dozens and dozens of other nonprofits behind us that we work with every single day.
So just the last, maybe, so this means that next week, what we're doing today is a done deal?
So yeah.
Because we're going to tell the people today that they're going to be expecting almost $750,000 in helping for the businesses. But it has to pass first
It has
City
to-
Council.
Correct. We have the power of the purse, as they say, and we make the decisions with regard to where money goes in the budget. This is something that the Strategic Alliance, in partnership with the mayor and my office, is bringing forward to council. But I just wanted, to your last question, I want to reiterate what I said, is that the reason why this is a great solution to some of the issues that we have with getting to the people that really need it is based on this alliance. It's based on the community voice. We have to, again, in order to solve the issues and the problems that the community is experiencing, we can't always make those decisions at City Hall only. We have to listen to the voice of the people. And this is an effort to do that, and we hope that it's an ongoing relationship. And that's why it's so important.
Thank you. Time for one or two more questions? Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. I was wondering if you could explain where the $700,000 number came from. There was a press conference that you had in early June where you had mentioned that the community was going to get, I guess, like 50% of whatever federal money was coming into the city. I believe that was $13 million. So how did we get to the 700,000 number for this?
Yeah, and this was developed in partnership with myself, Councilmember Montgomery, and the Alliance, trying everything we can to get some dollars into the community now. And again, trying to leverage the support of the county as well to say, let's use city dollars, let's use county dollars, but let's help, and I think Jason said it very well, to those groups that are on the ground right now that they can put this money to use. So we can be the funding vehicle, but we want to make sure that we get it to the groups that can put it on the ground, into the community, into the small businesses that need it right now.
Since you had mentioned a $3 million community equity fund, does that mean that this is the first wave of money that's coming in, or will there be more?
This will be separate than that. So this is in addition to that.
In addition, so that was already distributed, the $3
Yep.
million?
And that, and how to spend those funds that the council just adopted, will be coming back as part of the stand-up of the equity fund that Councilmember Montgomery has been a real leader on.
That has not been
That has not been determined. One more.
So,
Yeah, the question was on timing. Once we have council approval next week, I mean, we're looking forward to get these funds out in a matter of 1 to 2 weeks.
Brian Gooden from the San Diego Voice and Viewpoint News.
Brian, good to see you.
Right here in this community. Mayor, I'm wondering, in light of all what's going on, have you guys learned anything from the state level and the federal level in terms of getting this money to the people that need it?
Great question, Brian. Is get the groups, the organizations, and the businesses that need it and that need it now. That's why we've set up these dollars. Jason said it well. We had federal dollars that came in. A lot of groups and organizations that maybe had relationships, banking relationships, knew how to access that right away. But we're doing this differently. We're saying we're going to give it to the Strategic Alliance that understands the groups and organizations and the small businesses that need it, can set up that program immediately to get it directly into these small businesses. So this is about cutting red tape. It's about making it easier and getting it to the businesses in the community that need it. I mean, you just heard from Tan about these are family-owned businesses. These are small businesses that are the backbone of our economy. Getting it to them right away is going to make a huge difference. Thank you. With that, we'll break and be happy to answer any additional questions one-on-one. Thank you again to Gentry's for hosting us, and feel free to get any B-roll or other things. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.